Good morning. Happy Monday. We're just going to give everyone a minute here to find our video, and then we'll get started. Oh, I see some people. So I'm flying solo today. Shelby's on holidays, so I do not have a moderator, so it's just me. But we should be just fine, I think. We're going to launch the June calendar bundle along with all of the add-ons and showcase the new layout. And I'm going to go through a few things with you. Cheryl says good night. What? Hopefully that's an autocorrect thing, because it's not night, it's morning. It feels like Monday morning to me. Oh my gosh. We had a very busy weekend, so today's recovery day, but I kind of hit the ground running. Okay, so we're going to get started. I know sometimes people are a little slow on Monday mornings, but I wanted to fit this in before the day got away. So, oh, there, Cheryl says yes. Good morning. Yes. Okay, so you are looking at the June calendar bundle right here. I loved this line when it came out. I love all things travel. And I decided that we haven't done a road trip page, and summertime is the perfect time to slot one in. So June's page is going to be sort of road trip themed. Now, road trips can be anything from a trip to a local park to a faraway destination. It could be to Canada's Wonderland. It could be to a beach. It could be a lot of different places. So I think it will fit in nicely with people's photos. And I mean, even if you didn't go on a road trip in June, you could always shuffle things around a little bit and maybe make it a July or an August page, and then you can flip things around when those pages come out. But I think it's going to be a really flexible design and lots of fun features and things you can use. So the June bundle includes a 12 by 12 sticker sheet from the Happy Travels collection. It includes the round trip paper, which is a great double-sided paper. It includes this amazing postage stamp paper called Good Times, and that is the reverse side of that. And then you get a sheet of white cardstock as well. There is a color photo included in your bundle. I don't have one of those photos here, but I do have the original layout, so I will show you that. So that is everything that's included in the June bundle, and I'm going to show you the layout. Now, my new setup with my camera, things are zoomed in quite a bit more. I'm just going to adjust my camera a little bit here. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show the whole page here, but we're going to give it a go. So this is the calendar side. Let me just get this in frame here. And then we will bring in the layout side. Yeah, that's what I figured. So maybe we'll do them separately. Okay, so here is the layout side of the page. I'm really happy with how it turned out. As soon as this paper was released, I knew that I wanted to get it, and I kind of had a design in mind. Now, truth be told, there is a layout that is on the Simple Stories Facebook page that does have this paper in the same position on their page as mine, but I honestly had a plan before I even saw that they had items out on their page. So I had a little sketch drawn and like diagram and everything. So, but I made it my own. It was really awesome to play with. I love the stickers. I created my own background on this side, which I will go through with you. I made my own postage stamp embellishments, which you guys are going to love. It's a really cool technique. Good morning, everyone. I see lots of people tuning in. And it is perfect for road trips. So that's the layout side. And then the calendar side looks like this. Now, these photos over here aren't necessarily road trip themed. My calendar side is always a snapshot of my month. So whatever the main highlights were for the month of June, I always showcase them on the calendar side. The layout side, I sort of choose the main event for the month, and I put it there. So we did go on, well, actually, some of these photos Amanda took. She went on a little excursion with the boys and took these great photos. They came over for a swim. It was their last day of school. My husband and I were biking as usual. And then my son actually made the page. He sent me a photo. We were away at a race and he had his friends over to swim in our pool and he was barbecuing. So he was showing me that, and he never makes the page. So I had to put that photo in there. But yeah, so this side of the page for me is always very flexible. The layout side is a little bit more specific. So that is the spread for this month. I love it. It's very colorful, and I love the theme. What do you guys think? Are you liking the road trip idea? I hope so, because I was really excited about it. So let's talk about add-ons. There's not a lot. A lot of things are sort of basics that we use each month. So I'm going to set this aside and I'll just go through those with you. And then I'll refer to the layout to show you where I use them. So the first thing will be the calendar die cut letters to spell the word June. Like I explained last month, some of the shorter months, we don't adjust the prices on the die cuts. We sort of have an across the board price. And then the longer months like October, November, December, January, February, those we don't charge more for. And then the smaller months we don't charge less for. We just sort of make it an even amount all the way across. Because that way it's just easier. So the June months, the papers or the colors coordinate with the collection. So that is an add-on. And then the calendar page. So the part that I use to make this page here, this is not included in our bundles. Not everyone does the calendar side. So we don't put it in the bundles. It's an option. So make sure you're picking up your calendar paper if that is something that you want. And then the coordinating cardstock colors, we've started adding these into our shopping section because a lot of customers like to mat their photos. I don't mat my photos on this side of the page. I sand the edges of them, but some people really like to mat them. So we put the coordinating colors up that we have used. So this month it is mustard, and these are all from the Simple Stories Color Vibe line. So solid on one side, and then there is a dot on the other. So it gives you an option on how you want to use that. So mustard, orange, peacock, and green. So those colors are all up in the shopping section on our online store. And that's located right at the top. You'll see an icon that says calendar series. And then you click that, and then all the months have their own little section. And if you click on June 2025, you will see all the great colors that we used. Okay, so that is, I'm just reading comments here, waiting for my husband to come out of surgery. Oh, well, good. I'm glad that we can entertain you. Now I need a road trip. Elliot says it's looking good. Awesome. And love the coordinating colors. Perfect. Okay. Love that you guys are loving this. And then next up for add-ons. Okay. So you'll probably already have noticed I did do some stitching here. Now let me show you the paper up close. So you're going to end up cutting this paper in half, and this half over here is what we used. And you can see that there is no stitching on this paper, but the sections are divided off. It's just sort of a light gray line that is on there. I wanted to define that a little bit more. So I went ahead and stitched all of that with black floss. So it is optional. Obviously, you don't have to stitch if you don't want to. I love the way that it looks. It really makes those rays sort of stand out a little bit more and gives it a more bold design, but that's entirely up to you. Sorry, just grabbing a drink. So if you do want to do the stitching, you want to make sure you have black floss in your stash. If not, we have it in the shopping section, and we sell it in 2-yard, 5-yard, and 10-yard lengths. I only used 3 strands of the 6 that come in the string that you get. I don't like it to be super bulky, but I wanted it to stand out enough. So I used 3 strands out of the 6 when I did my stitching. Okay. And then clear gems. So I did accent around the clusters with the clear accents. If you want to add colored ones, you can do that. Anything clear is my go-to. I tend to do that a lot. I find it just blends in with everything, and then you don't have to worry about coordinating colors exactly. But if you have colored sequins or enamel dots, feel free to include those in your designs as well, because they certainly do add a pop of color. But I did clear, and there are a couple of options available. These particular ones are from Gina K. They're the clear quartz sequins. I'm not sure if we have these ones in stock, but they are on our order list. So we will be getting more of them. It's something that we bring in all the time. We do stock quite a few clear options, so definitely check those out. Anything neutral will work. Okay, the tea ruler, that's on the list pretty much every month, and that is great for lining things up. If you're like me, you think it's straight, and then you look at it later, and you're like, what? So this, you just put up against the edge of your page, and then the ruler is completely straight, and you can use that as a guide when you place things. I particularly love using it for the June letters. But you can use it for all kinds of things to make sure your photos are straight, your papers are straight, and so on. It's a great tool. This one is from My Sweet Petunia, and I think it comes in a pack of 2. And it's a great little tool. I use it all the time. So that is on the list every month. If you're going to do the stitching, you're going to need needles for that. Piercing tool. I'm just grabbing things off my cart here. Piercing tool and some sort of piercing mat. This one here is called the handy something. If you type in the word handy, it'll come up. It's also in the shopping section as well. It's a new product. It goes with the craft stacks if it's in there quite nicely, but you can use it outside of that as well. And then this is the piercing tool that I used. It's retractable. It's from Tim Holtz. It's the one we sell the most of. So that is a great little option for piercing tools. And then you will need a black ink for stamping. So I have created, hold this up a little closer so you can see, I've created my own background using a text stamp and a stencil. So if you're going to want to use that, you're going to need some black ink. I also did some stamping on the postage stamps, which I will demonstrate. So you'll need black ink for that. I've pulled out my Memento Tuxedo Black. I often use the VersaFine Claire. That's this one here. And another favorite of mine, let me just get my drawer open here, is the VersaFine original one. So any kind of black ink, you're just doing some stamping. So it doesn't have to be Copic friendly or watercolor friendly or anything like that. So any kind of black ink that you have will work for this. Oops, better leave my one pad out. Okay, and then I did do some splattering on my background as well. It's very fine, and we will talk about how I achieved that, but you will see the splatter in the paper over here, and then you'll also see it in the background and so on. I think it really adds a nice touch to your layout, and that I used the Winsor & Newton black ink. And in order to splatter, you need a good set of splattering brushes. So the fan brush is a good one to use. I like to use the fan brush a lot, but I also really like this set of brushes here, the Yasutomo brushes. You get a set and you get all of these, and they have different thicknesses of brushes on the end. So depending on how big you want your splatter to be, this gives you lots of control over that. When I get to the splattering part, I will show you which brush I used and how. I don't know if I'll actually splatter. I don't like to splatter in my craft room because you end up with it everywhere, no matter how you try to confine it. I have a splatter box that I take out into my garage and I do it there. Because if I get a little bit of splatter on the garage floor, it doesn't matter. But I'll see. Maybe I will. And then you will want a non-stick surface. So whether that is your full mat, we do sell smaller glass boards. This one is the 6x9, and we also have a 9x12, which is a travel size as well. Or you can use the Tim Holtz craft mat, but something to put your ink on so you can pick it up with your brush and spray a bit of water and splatter. You'll need something that is suitable for that. What else? Okay, alcohol spray. I have a little bottle. We sell these little bottles on our online store, and it is perfect for holding your alcohol, and the spray nozzle is awesome. I use it for cleaning up my nonstick surfaces, my stencils, all that kind of stuff. So that. And then, of course, we are recommending the new and favorite microfiber cloth that we have. We just restocked these, so they should be up in that section as well. That's good for cleaning up all kinds of things. When you spray your stencils with alcohol, your glass mat, and then you can just throw them in the wash. And I usually throw them in with my jeans and then just give them a good clean. And then they're set to use again, which is great. And then as far as actual products for add-ons, this month we did introduce a new stencil. So this one is from Arden Creative Studio, and this one is called Distressed Diamond. Now, this type of stencil is my favorite kind of stencil because it gives you a natural fading out of the design, so you don't have to do that yourself. And I love that look on a page. So I did use this stencil on the layout, and I'm going to demonstrate how that looks and where I put it, what ink I use, and so on. So that is the new stencil for this month. I am sure that I'm going to be grabbing this over and over again to create my own background. So definitely consider adding this to your stash because you're going to see me using it more often. We can try and restock things, but we can't guarantee that that is always going to be the case. So if it's something that you like or something that you think that you'll use frequently, grab it while you see it, because you just never know now how long things are going to last. The other thing that I used extensively this time is the postage collage die, but in a different way. And then the postage collage stamp. So this is just the basic postage collage stamp that came out with the original release of the A2 postage collage die. Now, I know a lot of people already have this, so we don't have them heavily stocked for two reasons. One, a lot of people have them. And two, I tried to restock some, and Waffle Flower is sold out of them right now. So we have a few in stock now. So if this is a new product for you, there are some in stock, but if we sell out, it's going to go into a pre-order option. And what that means is as soon as we can get a restock on them, you will be the first ones to get them. So they'll be pulled out of our inventory immediately and your order will be completed. When you pre-order something, you do prepay. So Waffle Flower is very good about restocking things pretty quickly. So we'll be watching that. And as soon as they're available, we'll be throwing our order in. But it will be several weeks before they're back in stock. So if they do sell out, watch for the pre-order option. It will be in the category for the calendar stuff. And you will see it in there to pre-order. I am using this little square postage die. Now, I'm not using the whole postage collage die. I'm only using this small one. So a lot of you probably have these small dies and you think, well, what do you use those for? Haha. So we are going to make our own postage stamp embellishments using this little die. So what it does is it cuts out this very cute postage stamp. And then you can put whatever you want on that. So I'm going to show you how I use that. And then the postage collage stamp is designed excuse me, to add postage marks to your postage stamps. So in other words, you've got that that stamp that makes the squiggly lines. You have different denominations for like 30 cents, 50 cents, that sort of thing. First class mail, express mail. And then there's some fun ones that say hugs inside forever. And then you can see that little seal has the little envelope in the middle. You get an envelope on its own. So there are some themed things on here too, but a lot of them are just to make postage marks on your own postage stamps, which is a really fun option. So we'll be using both of those. And then the other stamp I'm going to be using is this Weathered Words stamp. It's a background stamp from Tailored Expressions. Again, this is one that you will see me use often. It is out of stock with us right now. We do have some en route to us. So it is already up there in a pre-order option. So if you're wanting to pick this stamp up, you can pre-order it. And as soon as it comes in, then we will fill your order and let you know that it's arrived. So, so I'll be using that and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Background stamps are so amazing. And you don't have to use them to create a full background, which I really love. Okay, I think that's it for add-ons. So I have already activated the bundles in our shopping section because Shelby is not here to help me out. I wanted to make sure that everything was done ahead of time. So the stencils are up there and the bundles are live along with the little die cuts for the word June. So you can go and shop now. If you want to come back and watch this video on replay, you can do that. But everything is there and we will get those orders filled as quickly as possible. But make sure you are watching for your notifications to say that your order is ready for pickup or that it's ready for shipping, because Shelby is not here, so I'm coordinating this with the girls, and we just want to make sure that you don't waste a trip coming to the store to pick something up if it's not ready. So just keep an eye on those, and we will let you know when they're ready. But they should be processed pretty quickly. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what I did and how I did it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is give you some measurements. So let's get this paper up here. So this is the round trip paper. Okay, so it is a double-sided paper and you are going to use both sides. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut this one in half. We'll remove the barcode, cut it in half, and you're going to be running down the line along the orange and then the yellow at the bottom. So you're going to follow that line with your trimmer all the way down. I don't know if it's exactly in half, so don't just measure 6 inches over and cut. Make sure you're following that line from there until down here. And then you're going to actually shorten this to 11.5 inches, because if you look at my layout, you can see that there's a white border at the top. Oops, no, you can't. There's a white border at the top and at the bottom, and then also on this side. So I kind of pull it in a little bit and then center it from top and to bottom. And that's how you're going to get that white border. So you want to cut the length of this to 11.5 inches, but you want to make sure you cut down that line along the orange and the yellow sections. Okay. And then the reverse side of the paper, once you do that, you have this piece here. I actually used it to mat behind my photo. So this is a 4x6 picture, and I just collaged my photo. Normally I collage it and then I cut it out, but this time I just left it. And I made sure that I had a border showing, so it just separated each one of those photos. And I just left it as a full collage. So this is actually a little, we were actually on our way to a track and we found this really cute like roadside chip wagon. It's called Roosters. In a small little town. So we've passed it a couple of times and we thought, you know what, let's stop and get some poutine or whatever. So we did. And it was a cool little stop along our way to the track. So we took a bunch of photos when we were there. And I thought it was perfect for a road trip page. So I just left that as a 4x6. And then the matting that goes behind there will just be a slim border all the way around that 4x6 picture. So you're going to be cutting this paper, if you look at this side, vertically. So if I flip it over, you'll notice that the pattern on this paper, okay, so half your paper is going to be gone, runs this way. So if you decide to go with a larger photo, like you could do a 5x7 photo on this, you're going to have to turn this paper this way to get the length and the width that you want for a larger photo. So then your pattern is going to be running the wrong way. But if you look at this photo, very, very little of it shows. And I don't think you would even notice it. So you can do it either way. But because I used a 4x6 photo, it worked out pretty good for me to go this way and have the pattern running the right way. But that's totally up to you. You just have to be aware of that when you're planning. Okay, so that's all the cutting that you're going to do for this. So basically, you're going to cut that piece down this line here. And that's going to be for your main element. Again, you're shortening it to 11.5 inches. And then the reverse side of it, you're going to use the yellow part that you have left over for matting your photo. And like I said, if you keep the margin around your photo pretty slim, it doesn't matter which way the direction of the pattern is going. You're not going to notice it much anyways. So that is that paper. And then the next one, as soon as I saw this, I knew I had to use it. And I actually ordered it not even really knowing what I was going to do. My original thought was I'll just cut these out and use them as embellishments. But then my brain started going and I thought, you know what? I did cut a strip out. Here it is. but I didn't love the way it looked. I thought it was too big, and I didn't like the black around the outside. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to cut that part off. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to cut it off, you know what? Why don't I make my own postage stamps? So that is basically what you're using this paper for. So this one is the Good Times paper. And you're going to cut a 5.5 by 8 piece. Now, this is if you're using a 4x6 photo. 5.5 by 8, because the reverse side of this, let's flip it over, is what I used to mat my photo. Okay, now you have to cut it a bit larger than you need it because you're going to tear the edges around the outside to fit your photo on. So you're going to be tearing some of that paper off and taking it away. So you want to make sure you cut it large enough. But 5.5 by 8, you are going to want to watch the direction of your cutting. Not so much for this side because the arrows go in all different directions, but for this side. So if there's specific areas that you want to use for your postage stamps, just make sure you're not cutting out that part. Now, they do repeat quite often, but just be aware of that. You should have lots. I didn't use that many on the page, but if you really like the concept and you want to use a lot of them, or you want to make them up and use them for other things, just be aware of the fact that you're going to be cutting from the other side of the paper and you want to watch what you're cutting out so that you don't waste it. And then you are going to be using the leftover paper to make your postage stamps as embellishments. Okay. Any questions? Oh, Shelby says she's here, but not here. Yeah, she's watching, but she's not able to put links and things up. So I appreciate her being here. I always feel better when Shelby's around. Okay. So, yeah, so that's how that paper works. Now I'm going to show you how I make the postage stamps as well, but that's what you're going to do with this paper. And then of course you do have a sheet of white paper that you're going to use at full size for your background. Okay. And then we're of course going to do all kinds of fun things on it because just a plain old boring white sheet doesn't cut it for me anymore. I like to do stuff. Okay. And then of course you have this fabulous sticker sheet, and I'm going to kind of walk through where I got the stickers and what I did. Okay, so let's pull this over. Get rid of this. We'll talk about this side first. Let's see if we can get most of it in here. Okay, well, this is the part that I really need to show is right there. Okay, so let's start at the top. You've got the car, which is located right here. Okay, really cute. So we've got the car. We've got the keys, which are right here. They say road trip right on them. And I really wanted to make this road trip. There's lots on here that you can make it into a complete travel page if you want. But I tried to really make it specifically for road trip. You will see there are little pins on here. They're right here. There's a couple of them. So you've got the blue one. And then also the word strips all along the bottom here. So any of the word strips that you see, I got from the bottom. And you can really personalize what you want to say with them. So I made a little pin, and then I used Just Go. And then these two here are the postage stamp embellishments that I made myself. So I will go through those with you. I embellished here with word strips. So again, you can pick what you want, but I used Let's Get Lost, Somewhere, Anywhere, Let's Stay Home, ... not, Travel Buddies, and Passport to Adventure. And then down here, I used On a Journey, Adventure Feeds My Soul, and I'll Go Anywhere. So those are the word strips I used on this side. There is one here with another push pin. That's the one with the gray head on it. Where does that? There's the green one, the blue one, and then there's another one somewhere. Oh, right here. And I used the word photo op on that one. Okay, so that covers up here, the pin. And then there's a little sticker that says You Are Here. I put that here. And then this one was kind of fun. So this is the travel notes, passport, and stamp sticker right here. But I didn't want to use the passport because I'm not really traveling far where I'll need a passport. Now, if you guys want to use it as a travel page, then you can totally use that. But I made my own postage stamp, and I just tucked it in there and covered up the passport part. So, because the passport didn't apply to me. So that's a way that you can kind of get around that. And then, of course, we've got the large Let's Go Exploring sticker that is up here at the top. So that's what I used there. I made a couple more postage stamp embellishments here, the words. And then down in this corner, there is a little stamp right here that says Say Cheese. with the camera. So that's this one. And then another one of those pins, it's the green pin and the word road trip. So that's from these down here. So, and then 2 more of the postage stamps there. And then right here, they have these tabs that go right along here. I use the escape tab, but there's one for Bon Voyage, there's Happy Travels, and then there's just some pattern paper ones. So you can choose what you'd like to use on there. So I just sort of tuck that in the bottom. So that's all the stickers on this side. And then if I bring over this part, I created 2 different clusters. So we'll start with the top one. I had to use that camera, so that is right here. And then I used the open road and explore and so the adventure begins. Those are the word stickers that I used. Oh my gosh, you can't even see. Sorry. Let's start again. Camera. And then I used the word stickers. Then these really cool arrows. They have these really cool arrows on the sticker sheet. And I just kind of put those around the camera in different directions and a few different florals and the heart, just kind of made that cluster. And you'll notice in the background, I've got that really cool background that I've made using the text stamp and the stencil. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And then over here, I couldn't just leave these postage stamps and not use them because there's stickers for them too. So I created a little cluster with a flower there. And then we've got 2 more words, and then this little geo tag, which is somewhere on here. It's the blue one right here. There are a couple of other ones, so you could always add them to your layouts as well. I didn't use everything, but that's kind of how I laid out the stickers. And then, of course, on this side of the page, all my photos are different sizes. Like I said before, I usually collage my photos using an app, and then I cut them apart. And I usually just pick a bunch of photos that I like, print them out, cut them all up, and then I start clustering them and making them fit onto my page. So this was sort of an event. This is one on its own. That's one. This is one, and this is one. So just all the highlights of our June from last year. I'm working on 2024 photos, not 2025, because I have to work ahead of you guys. But yeah, it was really fun to put together. I sand all the edges of my photos. I'll hold that up a little closer just so you can kind of see that it's done with my sanding block. And it just sort of adds a nice white edge to everything. Some of them are laying flat and some of them are popped up. I just sort of try to decide what looks best, and I definitely overlap them. I think it really adds a lot of detail to your layout, and it makes it really nice to look at. So just sort of see which ones make sense to pop up and kind of go from there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is show you how to create the background that I created over here. Okay, so I'm going to pull out the white sheet of paper, and I'm going to get rid of the barcode on there. Just got to pull out my big trimmer. Sorry, I should have done this ahead of time, but I didn't. So I'm just going to get rid of that barcode. I'm working with a full 12 by 12 sheet of white, and the pattern paper is going to be on the right side. Okay, so I'm going to stick kind of to the left side of the paper. I had my whole this whole section done. I knew that I was putting this paper to the right side. I knew I was going to do the stitching, so I went ahead and did all that. Now, one thing I didn't say to add to your list, and this has been on our list before, is a distress tool. So we have a distress tool. We have a couple options, I think. And I did distress the edges of my paper. Do you see that? So I did that first. Then I stuck it on. Then I did my stitching. So that was already completed. And then I went ahead and did this side. I'm not going to bother with getting this all in position. This is going to be Amanda's kit. So I'm just going to get this part done for her. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, because I'm just looking at the layout. This strip down the side here was very clever. I wanted something on that side. It just looked a little plain to me. So I thought, oh, what can I do? And I didn't have any other paper that would work there that I could include in the bundle. But look at the bottom of this sticker sheet. It has this striped scalloped sticker. So it has scallops on the bottom of the sticker. And it was too wide and I didn't want to use the scallops. So I trimmed off the actual sticker and I put this in my trimmer and I cut a 1/4 inch from the top of the sticker over with the backing on. Okay, I cut a 1/4 inch and then I peeled that off and I stuck it going down the side here. Now you'll notice that it's not the full length of the paper. There's a spot at the top and a spot at the bottom where it doesn't quite cover the whole thing, but I didn't care. I thought it looked pretty good. And that brings the color over to this side, which I really liked. So that's where I got that strip, was using this. And like I said, I used my trimmer to do it. I just cut off this whole strip from the sticker sheet, and then I put it in my trimmer and I, cut over about a 1/4 inch. And that gave me a 1/4 inch strip that I could use to go down the side. So I thought that was pretty clever. I was like, wow, look at me thinking. So anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and create this side of the background, and Amanda can go ahead and stick this part on afterwards. So if you happen to be following along at a later time, you don't have to do all of the work on this side first. You can definitely do this part first. So we are going to start with the stencil. So the stencil is fun. And I also forgot to mention the ink color I used. So it is oat milk. We used this in a previous month from Tailored Expressions. I really love this color because it is sort of a taupey gray. And I found that it went really well with the colors that the printing is done on this paper. But even if it didn't, it worked out well that it matched that. But I really like this for a very subtle print on your background. And it's definitely a color I will grab for often. It's become a new favorite of mine. So I'm going to get the stencil here, get it out of the package. And this is a 6x8 stencil. So it's pretty cool. There is no right and wrong side to this, but if you look at the stencil itself, you can kind of see which side is the right way. It's the part that has so this is more of a straight edge, and this kind of has the bumpy edge around the outside. That's the way the photo, that's not the way the photo shows it on here. But when I look at the stencil, I think that's the way that it's designed to go, just by the way that it's cut out. And that's the way I wanted it to go on mine. So you're just going to kind of place that sort of in the middle from top to bottom. And you want to come in a bit from the edge. Okay. So remember, your sticker's going to be there. So you just want to kind of pull this over a little bit. And that is where you're going to stencil. So that you just take a look at how mine is sort of positioned on my page. And that is kind of where you're going to go. It doesn't have to be an exact science, because you're going to be doing some stamping and stuff over top. And then by the time you get all of your stickers and everything on, it's not going to matter. Sorry. Okay, so I've got some magnets to hold that into place. And I've got my oat milk ink. Now I am going to use the large blending brush. The 1-inch blending brush from Pink Fresh. It's a large stencil. I'm doing a large area. I just feel like this is a good option. You can use any kind of blending brush that you want. This also is going to make the background fairly light. I don't want to go in too dark. If you want it darker, definitely, go over it several times. But I don't want it to be too dark. I want it to be sort of subtle and in the background. I'm just grabbing my little ink holder here. Okay. So we're just going to stencil that area. I'm even going to be brave and not mask off the edges. But when you're doing this, be careful you're not going way out here, because you will get a line and you won't be happy with that. So also remember to swirl in a couple different directions. Wow, I said go light and I'm going heavy. But you know what? It always dries lighter. And it's okay for it to be heavier in one spot and lighter in another. I think it adds character to your background. And you don't want it to be too light that you don't even see it. And you can even move this stencil up and down. So if you want a little bit more of the stencil showing, just move it and, stencil a little bit more in another area. It's very forgiving. This type of background too, it's not super specific, so you don't have to have everything perfect. I'm really trying not to go outside the stencil line here. Okay, so I think that looks good. take this off and we'll see. Okay, so that is kind of what it's going to look like. Just like that. So see how you get that sort of faded out edge, but you don't have to do the work. The stencil does the work for you. And I love that. So that's kind of step one. Now you're also going to want to do the same thing on the calendar side of your paper. Let me pull my calendar out. My blank one. So I kind of did, so I'll pull this over. So you can see I did 1, 2, 3 blocks. So 1, 2, 3 blocks. So like this section right here is where I'm going to do my stenciling. And again, I just put the stencil down and I just made sure I stenciled just in that area. And then same thing with the lower part. It's kind of in 1, 2, and a little bit. Well, that's not stencil. So it's kind of these 2 sections down here, mainly. And then I did do some stamping above that. But again, it gives it a very, like, there's no edge to it. It kind of fades off into the paper, which is what I was really kind of going for. So make sure when you're doing your stenciling, if you're doing the calendar part, that you pull this out and you do that as well. Okay, so now we've got the stencil part down, and this is going to lighten up a little bit as it dries. So I guess when I said go light, go a little darker than you think you want it, just so that it can lighten up a little bit and you don't have to re-stencil. But that's step one. Step two now is with your black ink. Okay, so you want to pull out your black ink. You also want to have a scrap piece of paper because you're not going to stamp directly onto this. You're going to stamp off first. So this is the Weathered Words, and it's a flexible cling stamp. It's from Tailored Expressions, red rubber, amazing. We're going to use a section of this. So basically you're going to ink up the stamp. I'm going to stamp off. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to press parts of it onto my background. I don't want the full 6x6 piece to go down. I just want to use portions of it. And I love this technique. I think it looks really cool. And it's almost like you used a stamp that looked like your stencil, where it has faded off edges. So that's kind of the look that we're going for. So what I do is I usually grab myself a scrap piece of paper. Hold, please. Okay, I'm just going to grab this little piece of paper. And you don't have to ink up your whole stamp either. You're just going to take your pad, because this text isn't really readable. So I'm just going to kind of, blot it around. Nothing uniform. Okay. And I want it to be heavy in some areas and faded out in others. I'm going to take the stamp and I'm actually going to push it down on here and stamp off. Okay. So a lot of that ink has come off. Perfect. Oops. Now I've got it on my desk. Okay. So now I'm going to pull this over and I'm going to take the stamp and I'm going to put part of it. Where's my layout? Just got to see what I did here. Okay, we're going to start at the top. So we're going to put this here and I'm just going to cover it up and push down. So see how you get that beautiful text? Okay, and then I'm going to take this section over here and I'm going to push down. And it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you're just going to kind of do that a few times. And if you have to go back and add more ink, you go back and you add more ink. But you don't want to have completely dark black ink showing up onto your page. You want to really make sure that you stamp off first and get some of that ink off, because otherwise it's going to be really harsh, and you don't want it to be really harsh. You want it to just sort of blend in. And you're just going to fill this in until you're happy. And I'm sure Amanda's going to be very happy no matter what I do. But see how cool that looks? Even if it comes down here a little bit, that's A-okay. But I really love, I just think I need a little bit more over here. And I'm just going to put a little dab. See, just tiny little bits. I'll hold this up so you can see it. And there's lots of ink on this stamp. But you can kind of fill in the sections however you want. Okay, so now I'll just hold this up so you can see. So see how you have just little sections of text? Isn't that a cool technique? What do you guys think? Okay, I'm trying to read comments here. Joining late. That scrapbook page is stunning. Thank you, Cheryl. Tanny says, great idea. I'm not sure what the great idea was, but I'm glad you thought it was great. Karen says she loves the stencil. I mean, I think this is a really cool technique. And then the next step is going to be to splatter. So, like I said, I don't like to splatter in my room, but I will take one for the team. How's that? It's just going to take me a minute to organize this because my splatter box is quite big. It's going to be pretty zoomed in as well. But let's just get all these things out of the way. And I will grab my box. One moment. So my splatter box is not pretty, but it's not supposed to be. Okay. So here it is. And I'm going to put my page inside there. And I'm just going to make a little space for my ink. So basically, I'm going to just give this a good shake. And I am going to use a fairly fine brush because I don't want big splatters. I want small ones. Now, let me get my brushes out here again. There we go. So the two smaller ones, like this one's very, very fine. It's almost too fine for me right now, but that's very, very fine. There's not a lot of a tip on there, so I'm not going to use that one. I kind of like this one. So this one is the number 3. Okay, so that's what the tip looks like. That's going to give me, that might give me a bit too much. Let's see what the other one looks like here. Is this a number 2? Let's go with number 2. Yes, number 2. So a little bit less bristles. And then I'm going to just simply, can you see the side? No. Okay, let me move this over. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit. Where's my glass mat? I'm going to use a separate mat. So here's my little glass mat. Okay, and I'm just going to take an eyedropper. Shelby, if you're still here, do we still have eyedroppers? Because that is something I did not really think about. I like to take the ink out of the bottle rather than dipping my brush into it. And you really only need 1 drop. Like I find you'll waste a lot less. Plus, if you do want to dilute it at all, that's air. That's not even ink. There we go. Okay, so I've dipped my eyedropper in. And I'm just going to take my brush and swirl that around. Now, if you feel like you need a little moisture, I mean, you're just going to add a dab of water. Like it's not going to be much at all because you really don't want to dilute this a lot. You want it to stay really black, but just a little bit. And that will probably give you a little, yep, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside so I can bring my splatter box on. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to kind of tap it against my finger. And that's going to allow the splatter, and it's very fine, to go onto my page. And hopefully not all over my desk. Okay, so I'm going to just tap. And again, I'm going to go back to my little glass mat and pick up just a bit more ink. And I'm just going to tap that on there until I'm happy with how that looks. And I'm quite happy with how that looks. Okay, so now I'll just take this out and I'll show you up close. But you can see how fine that splatter is. It's not big blobs. If I used a bigger brush and a bit more ink, and maybe another, little bit more water, then I could get much bigger splatters. But I really want that fine, fine look. And it just goes so well with the stencil and the text and the splatter. So it does turn out quite nicely. And you do exactly the same thing for the calendar side of your page. You just do a smaller section. And that's how it works. And I did get splatter on my desk. Dang it. I'm just going to clean that off right away. Where's my alcohol spray? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, because the ink dries on and it's really hard to get off. And I don't like getting it all over everything. But the alcohol does take it off. Sometimes you just have to work at it a little bit. There we go. Okay. So this is kind of what you're looking for finished. And then you're going to end up putting all of your stuff over top, but you definitely want to make sure that you're going to see some of that text, some of that stencil is going to be peeking out and behind, and it really just blends in so nicely. So if you look kind of over in here, you can see the stencil there. I went a lot lighter on this, and I know I want it to go darker, but I think this depth of color is perfect. It's a bit lighter than what I did here, but I really love how that looks. So Amanda, you're getting the better page. And then you can see down here how the stencil peeks out and blends in nicely with that text. So yeah, so that's the technique that I use to create my background. So we've done like ink smooshing and all kinds of fun things, but to do something like this, stenciling with a little bit of text and some splatter, is another great way to use. We have lots of eyedroppers. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, awesome, awesome. You do still have eyedroppers. I just added one to my cart. Okay, excellent. Thank you, ladies. Carrie is at the store, so I'm glad she's tuned in and kind of listening. So, okay, does anybody else have any questions they want answered? I think I covered everything. The eyedroppers are great, handy little tool when you're using the inks for sure. Even just to put a little drop of water on your board, your surface once in a while, they're handy too. They don't always, boy, that's really crooked. You don't always need to spray. Sometimes just a little drop of water is good, but I like having those around. Can't wait for my order to arrive with that beautiful stamp. I know. I love it. It's been so great. We have a script one as well. I think it's called Fine Line Script. I used that in a previous layout. It's also a really wonderful one. So either of them work well, but sometimes you want the text and sometimes you want the script. So I have both. I know a lot of our customers do too. So it's been a really popular one. Okay, so I will keep an eye on the section for our add-ons, and once those postage collage stamps and dies sell out, we will put them in pre-order mode as well. So just know that if, like, make sure you're reading. If it says pre-order, it means we don't have it in stock right now. We're going to be waiting for it to come back in, but yours will be reserved because you've paid for it, so you'll be good. Any other questions? I think, okay. So we'll just ask that you take a moment when you're done watching this and give our video a thumbs up. It is very, very helpful for us to get that, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you won't miss any videos. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just going to mean that you get a notification when there is a new video available, and then you can decide if you want to go and watch it. So again, all of these things help us offer you more things when we are doing our YouTube lives. I know some of you are watching over on Facebook. You can just, like and comment over there as well. But the YouTube part is very important for us to have those things. So thank you so much for tuning in live. We've got lots of people here. And then also, if you're watching on replay, thank you. This will live on our YouTube channel. I will make sure I add it to our playlist for the calendar pages for 2025, so you can easily find it there. I will be changing the thumbnail up a little bit with a photo of the this side of the page. I just don't have that photo up there yet, so we will update that and make sure that that shows on there. But that doesn't affect anything for you guys. So. Okay, well, thanks so much for tuning in. And like I said, the bundles and everything are live and ready to go, so you can go ahead and order anytime. Okay, we'll see you again soon.